instead, and I'm good with either one of those.
Okay.
You know we're live?
Yep.
Okay.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Welcome back, Cavs fans, to another great edition of The Block That Shot the Stop. I'm Skylar Wepker. He's Kevin Lynch. And Kevin, I did not like that game.
I didn't either. So I like your idea of now that we're doing twice a week, we can backtrack and talk about Detroit first.
Yes, absolutely. Because the Detroit game was so fun to watch. I mean, Mitchell came out like gangbusters. This team felt like it had a great rhythm and ball movement. Everything just seemed like it was clicking for the Detroit game. And it's fun to beat JB Bickerstaff. No, not in a malicious or hard feelings type of way, but I'm happy for all of his success. But it does feel, I don't know, still kind of good to put one up on him.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like that, right? The Nets, the game before that, because Kenny and J.A. used to be there. Hard feelings don't go away. Hard feelings soften with time, but they never totally go away. So, JB did a lot of good things. He kind of brought this team from a rebuild to a playoff contender. And that seems to be his forte versus take a playoff contender to a championship contender. So I still have no problem with the job JB did here, but I don't blame people if there's a little bit of hard feelings on both sides. And, when there's hard feelings, it's always good to get one up on them.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not like JB did bad here or anything like that, but you still, you want the Cavs to win. And it's same thing with whenever LeBron comes to town. Like there's no hard feelings against LeBron, but it still does feel good to win against LeBron.
Yeah, less good. LeBron is the one exception. Not that I don't ever want the Cavs to lose to him, but I maybe take a little bit less joy just because LeBron brought so much joy to my life. It's hard to root against.
Fair. But I'm re-looking at the box score against Detroit. What I love, and it's my favorite stat, plus minus. I mean, everybody was contributing in that game. Offense, defense. Like I said, Mitchell came out like gangbusters and was unstoppable. Carried that a bit over to tonight, but couldn't quite get it done against the Celtics. But what were some of the things that stood out to you in Detroit?
Well, I mean, the first thing was Donovan Mitchell had the full offensive repertoire going. I mean, he had some unbelievable penetrations to the basket. I loved his aggressiveness. I think Donovan, and this is something we'll probably talk about with the Boston game too, he is a very good 3-point shooter, and I never have a problem with him taking an in rhythm three. I like him the best when more than half of his shots are going towards the basket because he is one of the best players in the world at getting downhill, attacking the basket, being creative and strong with his finishes, drawing fouls. And if you look, like he was 13 of 18 from the floor, 72%, it's incredible. 14 of those 18 shots were 2-pointers. The majority of those within, the paint. So I think the best out of Mitchell is an aggressive one that gets downhill, goes to the baskets, has all those great things happen, whether it's him scoring, him dishing, and then that opens up the, perimeter part of his game to where he is a very, very good 3-point shooter. I just think the thing he does best, I've always thought the thing he does best is attack the defense and attack the basket.
Yeah, and I think Donovan had a great game because he didn't have to be the ball distribution. He didn't really have to be any of that. He was able to just be the shooter, just be the scorer, and kind of calls back to his time in Utah where that was the only thing he ever had to be. So I agree with that. I also love that the Cavs went to the free throw line
Mhm.
in Detroit. That was something that we talked about
Yeah.
before with the Nets and the Knicks, and that they just aren't getting to the line
Yeah.
like they should be. And they got to the line 35 times
Yeah.
in that
Wow.
Detroit game, and that they needed that.
By far their highest output of the season as far as getting to the free throw line. Most games they've been in the low to mid 20s for free throw attempts, a couple even lower than that. If we're talking about things we liked, I really liked Jared Allen. I feel like right now there is a little bit of venom towards Jared Allen in a small portion of Cavs Nation. The majority of fans know that Jared Allen is a great player, great person, and somebody you should be happy to have on his team. But there are some people that hold hard feelings for the Pacer series last year and think he was one of the key reasons they lost. I don't necessarily share that. I think he could have played better, but I think there's lots of reasons they lost. That said, I find myself rooting for Jared to have good games a little bit more now. And frankly, it's never a bad idea to get him involved because Jared Allen doesn't, for the most part, never takes a bad shot. If he's taking a shot, it's because he's within 8 feet of the basket, and it's a high percentage shot, and it's why he's always one of the top guys in the league in like field goal percentage. And so Jared Allen getting double digit shots, I like seeing that because it usually leads to good things. It usually means not only is he making a good portion of shots, but it generally means the Cavs are, as I said before, being aggressive, heading to the basket, doing pick and rolls, things of that nature. So I loved kind of really the combination of him and Evan Mobley in this game is what you want. I mean, Jared 20 points, 7 rebounds, Evan 15 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, both of them on efficient shooting. Both of them, played really well defensively. And while the numbers, the stats could skew a little bit, it's kind of the level of contribution that you want from that tandem.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, honestly, I think the bigger reason for the flame out with Jared Allen in the playoffs is he was hell bent on the 82 games Iron Man.
Mm.
And it seemed like he was just exhausted by the time playoffs actually came around.
Yeah.
So I'm totally okay if Jared Allen misses a game in,
Yeah.
December, November, to be ready when April comes.
I agree. I also think, to be fair, he didn't when the Pacers got ultra aggressive against the Cavs, he didn't respond well, but he wasn't the only one. Just about everybody
yes.
you could say that about. I think because his stats dipped, because Kenny pulled him out of the end of game rotation a couple of times, that he just seemed to take more of the blame than others. And I think he deserves criticism, but more on an equal level criticism that as a lot of other guys on the team. And Jared's awesome. Jared is a really, really good player that occasionally has a bad matchup. And that's why you have some of the other guys you have on the team. That's why you bring in, DeAndre Hunter and Dean Wade so that you can go smaller with Evan at the 5. That's why you bring Larry Nance, who is another big that has a completely different game than Jared Allen that might be better in certain matchups.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you have a guy who is, borderline all-star contributor that is occasionally a bad matchup and occasionally has bad games, that's life. I mean, things aren't perfect all the time,
So let's go to before we get over to the Boston series, let's go to kind of the bad or ugly. I know there wasn't a ton in that Pistons series.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say player availability.
Yeah.
They were short-handed. They're nursing Lonzo into the season. They said that he wouldn't be available on back-to-backs to start the season with the hopes that he would at the end of the season. But you have Sam Merrill go down with a hip contusion, didn't play tonight in Boston. So it got thin, I would say, because you're already missing Strus. You're already missing Garland, who we have actually got an update on today. So player availability, I would say. Obviously, we talk about how deep this team is.
Yeah.
But it still makes you nervous.
Sure. I had two uglies. One of them was right along your lines. It was the Sam Merrill injury, just because Sam has been such a key for the Cavs and frankly is just exceeded any reasonable expectations that people had for him to start the year. His overall game, I know we put out a clip yesterday, I think, about not only how good he is shooting, but how he's contributing in other ways. So far and away, the ugliest thing for me was Sam going down and not knowing. Hopefully, it's one of those miss a game or two injuries instead of miss a couple week injuries or more. The other ugly, it's a little disappointing to see the bench shot the ball really poorly. Only had in a game where the bench played a ton because the Cavs were winning by 30 points the majority of the second half. The bench only contributed 22 points. For the most part, everybody on the bench had a kind of ugly 3-point or ugly field goal percentages. And I just thought it made me think like this Cavs team, for as much as we laud their depth, they look kind of thin on nights right now when, you have, Darius and Max are out. And then DeAndre Hunter misses a couple games. Lonzo misses a game. Now Sam misses tonight. When you're missing 3 to 4 guys, you suddenly go from deep to thin pretty quickly, and relying on young, promising but unproven players at this point. And so, yeah, I mean, that was my one thing to kind of keep an eye on is as some of these guys on the bench that are getting their biggest roles so far in their career, Jalen Tyson's, Craig Porter Jr.'s, how is the bench production compared to where you hope it would be? And it's probably not going to be as good as the Cavs would when they're full strength and they fall into the regular rotations. But you hope for a little bit better performances than the Detroit game. And ironically, they actually did get better performance from the bench tonight, but that wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, I would agree that I think they have a lot of guys on the bench that do a lot of things well. I mean, we see Jalen Tyson in that uber defensive role, junkyard dog playing with heart and hustle. We see what Craig Porter can do, kind of running an offense. We see, I would say Dean Wade as far as getting rebounds and being a defensive stalwart himself. But there is a lack of offensive production on this bench right now. Now, like you said, that probably resolves itself once you get Garland and Strus back, because in all likelihood, you probably have Merrill come to the bench. You probably have Strus come to the bench.
Yeah,
one of those guys.
It's a conversation for another day that I've thought about. But yeah, man. I mean, if you wanna, I guess we should transition into talking about this Boston game, huh?
Yeah. So unfortunately, the Cavs lose to Boston tonight. Started well, Donovan Mitchell came out firing like always, but man, Boston, it's got to be the coaching and culture, because they just seem to never. Like, no lead is ever safe. They throw up these 9-1-1 shots that like always go in. It was quite frustrating to watch, but the Cavs absolutely collapsed there to end the first half, and then really could not pick it back up until I would say midway through the fourth quarter, where they kind of made it closer, cut it to within 10, and sometimes flirted in single digits. But when you get out hustled in the third quarter and to end the second, that hurts.
They lost this game in the first half with their defense. I mean, if the easiest thing to do is to describe something in one sentence. The Cavs lost this game in the first half with their defense. A Boston team, obviously without Jason Tatum, one of the best players in the world, who's going to miss a good portion of the season, scored 75 points against this Cavs team. They shot 53% from the field, 50% from three. They made 14 threes in the first half. And most disappointing, they out-rebounded the Cavs 22-13, -9 against a Boston team who does not have much size or, frankly, proven interior players, just being honest. And if you came into this game and you asked me, where is one area that the Cavs definitely have advantage? I'm like, in the inside. Like, they should be able to beat up this Boston team on the inside. They play kind of small. And, with Keita is their starting center, and he's only like 6'9", And, Luke Garza's playing big minutes for the first time in years, if ever. And to get out rebounded by 9, it's pretty disappointing, to be honest, that, sometimes teams, as the NBA, they're just going to shoot the lights out, shoot better than you would think, kind of like you were saying, make improbable shots. That doesn't really phase me at all. What phases me is having almost practically a double digit rebounding disadvantage against a team that you should absolutely have the advantage against on the inside.
Yeah, they got just dismembered when it came to
Yeah.
rebounds. And I think it goes a lot to what Zach NBA
Mhm.
mentioned, was that this team has length, but they don't really have size. I mean, they definitely got bullied in the paint, in the rebounding. They just got bullied, and you can see they tried to respond late. They started to bully back, but if you get bullied for 3 quarters, to get not bullied at the end doesn't mean anything.
Well, yeah, and the Cavs did this a little bit last year, particularly towards the end of the year when it seemed like they were kind of on autopilot waiting for the playoffs, in the fact that they would get down in first halves and then have these, really intense rallies in the third and fourth quarters and everything. It's just not a good way to live.
No.
One, it puts stress on you to have to play that hard trying to catch up. Second, like, obviously it makes it much harder to win when you're starting with a 15-point deficit in the second half. And, I don't want to say anybody ever takes it for tonight. It looks like, I wouldn't say they took Boston for granted. I think this was, we talked last year about some scheduling losses. Wouldn't go as far with this game, but they kind of look like a team that wasn't totally locked in, that was tired after 5 games and 8 nights to start the season, and that frankly was missing, 3 of their key rotation guys, if not 3 of their best players. And while the first quarter was entertaining when neither team could miss a shot, I didn't like the way their legs looked. I didn't like the feel of the game, the momentum. The Boston just seemed to be getting out on the fast break much more than the Cavs were. And even when the game was tight there in the first quarter, I was starting to not feel great about what the outcome would be.
Yeah, and I would say again in this game, you need more production from the bench. I
Yeah.
mean, if Craig Porter Jr. is your leading scorer from the bench with 7 points,
Yeah.
that's not enough.
It's not. I mean, tonight they only scored 105, which is well below their standards. Last year, I think they averaged 121 a game, somewhere right
Yeah.
around there. They've been about that to start the season. So they didn't score a lot in general tonight. So but I mean, most of the starters, I think pretty much all the starters were below their averages, with the exception of Jalen Tyson. But, you know, just unfortunately, it's a bad game, and this game doesn't mean a whole lot if they come back Friday, look like themselves, get a win, get back on track. But it's a game that does make me worry a little bit about this team in the short term, if they're going to continue to be shorthanded, and while they're getting their legs under them to start the season with so many games. I could see this team after 20 games not having nearly as good a record as we think they will, being more like 13-7, 12-8, something like that, while they're finding their footing with the new rotation, where they're getting guys back healthy. The beginning of the season isn't going to look like the beginning of last season did, but the beginning of last season was kind of a dream.
Yeah, I mean, there's you're not going to start a season 15-0,
Right.
but I guess I'll point a finger,
Mhm.
but so far this season, I need more out of the scoring department from Lonzo Ball.
Okay.
I totally understand he's not here to be the scorer, but when you're shooting 27% from the floor, there's got to be something a little bit better. I mean, that's one thing that we are definitely missing as we talk about this offensive production on the bench. I mean, that's one thing that Ty Jerome really gave this team last year,
Sure.
is an offensive spark. that others were able to kind of key off of and take momentum on their own. Um, I know we're getting other contributions from Lonzo, and I like these other contributions. I mean, he's averaging 6.3 assists a game, 4 rebounds a game, but there's the offensive production can't be 0.
Yeah, and you make a great point in bringing up Ty Jerome, because the one thing Ty would do is on games where they were just off a little bit, or on the games where they're shorthanded, he filled that gap. He flipped the game. If they're missing Garland, all of a sudden that night he's going to put up 20 plus and fill that
Mhm.
gap. Same thing with other guys and everything. They don't have anybody right now that is coming close to filling the gap of the guys that are out. They're trying to do it, by more of some of their parts, which is totally fine, but the sum of the parts isn't quite adding up right now.
Mhm.
Right now they look like a pretty good basketball team and not one of the better NBA teams in the league.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the team that's the betting favorite to make it out of the East,
Yep.
honestly. They're
Yep.
the betting favorite to make it out. And they don't look that right now. Obviously, we keep harping on it. They are missing a ton of key guys, and it's a very long season. I mean, we are week 2 in
Yeah.
this.
For sure.
So,
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. This is us just reacting to what we've seen and what we're projecting to happen in the short term, right? I mean, this is nothing to be over. There's barring a serious injury to one of their top players. There's nothing to be that should get you super concerned in the first 2 weeks of the season. Like
yeah.
it's. I think people underestimated how different of a team this is this year opposed to last year. Well, they changed over some of the role players, but, between they're already less healthy than they were for a good portion of last year, and just guys' roles changing and things like that. This is a pretty different team for a group that, basically is bringing back their top 6 or 7 players. So, again, I wouldn't forget, but I think there's more of a feeling out, building up period with this team to become the team that they could be than I think a lot of us Cavs fans thought coming into the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is definitely some roles shifting or assignment shifting that is taking a minute
Mhm.
and to be expected. You kind of had guys leave that had a lot of continuity with this
Yep.
team, like Isaac Okoro. You're bringing in new faces, so they're definitely growing pains for sure. And I'm sure a lot of this stuff will resolve itself as we get guys back in. Like I said, we got news today that Garland was assigned to the
Yeah.
charge to kind of start getting his legs back under him and stuff like that. This is like one of the first times in recent memory I can think of where they sent an NBA player through, like especially an all-star NBA player through the G League to get ramped up for the season.
Yeah, so I think it might have been more of a transactional thing, because I saw one of the guys in the B. I don't know. I think maybe it was Tony Pesta, but excuse me if I'm getting it wrong. But that it was more a transactional thing, and he's actually still with Cleveland. I think, and it was kind of something to like get him to be able to practice or something like that. But basically it's just a sign that he's getting fairly close. I mean, I think all of us can't wait to see Darius on the court. I think all of us don't want him on the court until he's 100% healthy and is ready for the long haul. But certainly a positive sign when there's kind of like news and transactions that like
Yeah.
leads, steps towards him getting back in the lineup.
Yeah, it's definitely like roster, like jumping through hoops or like loopholes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like with a major toe surgery and toe injury, like they do it in baseball all the time. Why don't they just send them to the G
Yeah,
League?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Then you don't have to worry about those growing pains on the NBA court.
I think the Lakers did that with Anthony Davis that year before he got traded, or maybe earlier in the season, the year before he got traded. I remember him stories about him practicing with G League. Yeah, I know it makes sense. All right, I don't want to talk about this game too much longer. So, do you want me to give my good or my ugly about this game first? I got one for
Oof.
each.
Uh, we'll start with good, and then we'll like compliment sandwich the ugly.
Okay. The good is very easy. This was one of Jalen Tyson's best games as a
Yeah.
Cav. He gave them tonight exactly what you can realistically hope for from him. He hustled like crazy. He ended up with 19 points, 8 of 11 shooting. He was perfect from 2-point shots, 2 for 5 from the 3, had 5 rebounds, 3 steals. He was one of, if not the key guy there in the late third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, helping them make a push to get it from about I think it was over 20 at one point to they cut it to about 8. And I just thought he was really good. He played who always says like be a star in your role is like a
Yeah.
thing. And like I think that Jalen tonight hopefully is finding out how to be a star in his role. Cause if he can do what he did tonight, throw in, even a little bit better defense, a little bit less fouling because he did foul out. Um, that is how he can be a star in his role and be a very valuable contribution. So Jalen, Iron Tyson, we're still with you. We like what we saw tonight. A couple people have jumped on him to start the year that thinking he shouldn't be playing as much. I think he should be playing, and especially if he plays very similar to what he did tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. In the you got the scoring from him. You got 3 steals from him with the kind of lockdown defense, 5 rebounds, 6 fouls, but
Yeah.
get that under control. And obviously, I think he's just one of those guys that just plays hard and plays physical. And those type of players kind of get called upon by the refs quite frequently.
Yeah.
But
And
finding a way to mitigate that piece of it.
And it's a bad matchup defensively for him. I do think he is a plus defender. I don't think he's a great defender, but he wants to guard guys his size or bigger and be physical with them. Boston's perimeter guys are so fast and skilled. Like, they had him on Derek White for a while. That's not a great matchup for Jalen.
Yeah.
Frankly, Jalen, don't take this the wrong way, but he would be better in a matchup against someone like a Jason Tatum who is bigger and he can be physical with and everything than trying to chase around a Peyton Pritchard or a Derek White. He's not he doesn't have A plus athleticism to be able to chase around smaller guys. But he gave great effort again. And I think, if you're looking for bright spots in this game, I think he was the brightest one.
Yeah, I agree. That is a great analogy there, like about he would actually be better against more physical guys.
Yeah.
That he can really, I don't want to say throw his weight around because it's not like he's a big guy, but
Yeah.
he
But he
can
wants to be physical.
he can body somebody up.
Dude, he just started. He showed a little bit of attitude tonight. Like he started.
Yeah.
He like bodied Sam Hauser to get an offensive rebound and put back, and then just started screaming at the basketball. I love that. It means he's a little bit unhinged. I like having a guy who's a little unhinged on my team. I don't want like to get a beef stew who like at any moment could be starting a full out brawl, but a guy who's got a little bit of that in him. I liked seeing that tonight.
You don't want a Cam Scattaboo?
No, I don't need that either. But this team, and we've talked about it a million times, really needs guys that do dirty work and guys who don't don't mind getting physical and just kind of are just kind of wired a little bit differently. And if he can give you the performance tonight, and I really think some of his almost some of the like just anger and attitude that he was playing with was he was able to channel it to play better. Some guys channel it, some guys are letting emotions get involved completely throws you off your game. Others, it elevates your play. And it seemed like it was kind of elevating him tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely elevating him. Like we said, don't foul out,
Yeah.
but stay in the game, be eligible to stay in the game. Don't get in foul trouble. But agreed. I love the attitude and effort that he's presented with this team.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's your bad?
I'm gonna give you my ugly. Ugly is DeAndre Hunter, and it's not just tonight. I haven't liked his first 3 games this season, if I'm being honest, and I'll tell you why. Even though the first couple might look okay on the stat sheets, I kind of went back and watched a little bit of his play in the first 2 games, then as well as tonight's. He he's playing like he did when he got to the Cavs last year instead of what we were
Mm,
sold and promised that he was going to be this year. He's going to be a more well-rounded offensive player. They're going to run offense through him. I think, in 3 games, he has 10 assists, which doesn't sound that bad, except 5 of the assists were in the first quarter off the Pistons, and most of them were just on ball swings to Donovan Mitchell. He wasn't actually creating offense. It was one of those like,
yeah.
you know, gift assists, so to speak. So for the most part, he's not getting very many assists, which means he's not playmaking for other teams, for the team or for his teammates. He's not shooting the ball that well. He's 15 of 41 from the field, 6 of 22 from threes. And I don't like that more than 50% of his shots are coming from 3. That feels a lot like the DeAndre Hunter that showed up last year instead of, again, what we were promised, that he was going to be more involved, creating offense, attacking the basket, potentially even post ups, getting the ball at the nail, things like that. It seems like he is hunting the 3 a lot more. And I honestly think the biggest thing, he's kind of been a ball stopper on offense. I think when he's in the game, the ball doesn't move as well as when he's not. So you watch guys like when Sam Merrill's in, when Lonzo Ball is in, all these other guys around Mobley and Mitchell, the ball's moving. And it seems DeAndre seems to hold the ball significantly more than anybody else on this team, except for maybe Mobley and Mitchell. And those are the guys you want holding the ball a lot, right? And so, just being honest, I don't like the way he's played in these first 3 games. I love his talent and I love his potential, but I don't love the output for these first 3 games of his season.
That's a good take. I would say I agree with you in the distribution and ball movement piece. It does seem a little more stagnant when he gets the ball.
Yeah,
The assist numbers don't worry me much because the thing that we needed from him when he was out, and we've said that this team needs, is somebody that's able to create their own shot,
sure.
and he is absolutely a person that is able to create his own shot, a lot like Karis LeVert is one of those guys that can just create their own shots. I agree with you that he is absolutely hunting the 3 ball way too much.
Yeah,
I mean, 3 from 12 tonight. It's like you said, what we got from him when he came over from Atlanta, where he was told to just sit on the
right.
perimeter and wait for a 3 shot. Uh, where we need him to be driving to the hole. We need him to take mid-range shots, a lot more of that. So I agree with you that his shot selection has been very bad,
Yeah.
and to start this season.
Yeah, and I often say with players, I don't need them to create their own shot. I need them to create offense
Yeah.
because there's Lonzo Ball doesn't create his own shot very much, but he does create offense. I mean, you can see his assists per minutes played numbers are insane. Like because he creates offense, he finds ways to help the team score, right? And yes, at times that means create a shot for yourself, but it also means just breaking down the defense, whether that's you're in the post and they have to double, or you can beat your man off the dribble, or you cut to the basket and have to make the defense react. Do things to create offense. I'm not nearly as impressed as if you swing the ball to DeAndre Hunter on the wing and everyone clears out and then he just dribbles into a 15-foot shot. Like that to me isn't creating your own shot. I want to see him do things to create offense for the team that results in scoring baskets, whether he's the one that scores it or somebody else.
No, that's a great delineation there. As far as creating offense and not quite assist, I would say.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that is a good ugly. I think I kind of threw my ugly out with the Detroit game, or really with this game, or his season in general. But needing any type of offensive production from Lonzo. I love
Yeah.
everything else he's given this team. I love his defensive prowess. I love the ball movement that he's giving. But you gotta be averaging more than 5 points.
Yeah.
and 27% from shooting.
He is a guy that should be he creates offense and like I said, he's contributing, I would say, but sometimes you need to bend your game to what the needs of the team are at that time, right? When this team is full, Lonzo can play exactly how he is right now, and he's a huge added bonus,
Yeah.
right? Setting everyone else up. Right now, this team's a little bit deficient in scoring the basketball, and he has the talents to create offense. He is a very good three-point shooter that you would think he should be able to knock him down at a higher clip than he has here in the first few games. So I agree with you. I think again, Lonzo's playing pretty similar how you would want him to if everyone on the team was healthy. But right now, he needs to adjust his game a little bit to be able to give this team a little bit more offense and in particular more scoring punch. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, and yeah, just being malleable to what the team needs. Because you're right. Once they do get everybody back, you have more options to score the ball, and
Mhm.
that distribution is going to be key into getting everybody scoring the basketball.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to call out at this Celtics game before we look ahead to the Raptors?
God, no. Let's look ahead.
All right. So the Cavs take on the Raptors next. It's actually their first cup game.
Mhm.
The Raptors aren't as terrible as they were last year. So there's that.
Yep.
But it's still heavily favored Cavs, 72% or 77% Cavs on kind of a matchup prediction basis.
The Raptors are a team that has a lot of talent that I don't think meshes well into winning basketball. Just like, Brendan Ingram is a really good scorer and Scotty Barnes is a good player and RJ Barrett is a very good player, but they have talented pieces, but not complementary pieces. And so I think that will just lead to them having some really impressive stat lines on some nights, but not a lot of winning basketball. And that's kind of what's happened. They're 1-4. They got shellacked by the Rockets here tonight. And they're healthy except for their starting center Jacob Pearl, who's a solid starting center, is out and will most likely be out on Friday. So again, it's a game where you think the Cavs should have an advantage on the interior, and I hope that proves to be a lot more true than it was tonight.
Yeah, I'm not as focused on their record because looking at the teams that they've lost to, the Rockets, who are great, the Spurs, who have Wemby, who is amazing,
Yeah.
Dallas, who look to be way better this year, and Milwaukee. So they're losing to upper echelon teams, and they're putting up good numbers or good offensive numbers. So you hope that the Cavs defense are able to put that to bay.
They're going to be one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Like if I had to guess, if I had to guess, and somebody gave me some good odds that Raptors will finish in the bottom 5 or 6 in defensive rating, I would take that bet all day long. And so I certainly want to see a lot more than 105 points from the Cavs on Friday night.
Yeah, I fully expect a way better offensive showing for the Cavs. They do have a couple of guys that match that length piece of Allen and Mobley, especially like Brandon Ingram.
Mhm.
So those are some guys that you hope don't become game wreckers. Kind of how we saw, I would say, like how we saw tonight against the Celtics.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the Raptors are, like I said, a talented team that if you don't take them seriously and if you don't lock in defensively, they could win a shootout type game against the Cavs. If the Cavs lock in and play anywhere close to as good a defense as they did in the couple games previous to tonight, they should, be able to take care of business.
Agreed. So we'll look ahead till Friday. But as we get out of here, I want to close out kind of our segment with the Dad's Talking Cavs, man. So Dad's Talking Cavs, Kevin and I, both dads, and some free parenting advice, some parenting wins or fails, or I don't know, just something to make you feel a little something outside of basketball.
Sure. I got a good one this week. I was excited. I was excited and much more prepared than last week. So on Monday, my daughter's school was closed. My daughter is a kindergartner, and they're closed for parent teacher conference. So that would be my first tip, is be prepared for lots of like non-holiday days off from school once your kids start school, and be prepared for that. Save your PTO days. But so luckily one of her friends, her parents very nicely invited her over to do a play dates. And so she went over there, had a really good time. And I went to pick her up that afternoon. And while we're waiting for her to collect her things, the other little girl's mom's like, I gotta tell you, this is so funny. These two girls were upstairs for a while. I was on a call, didn't know what was going on. And then all of a sudden I heard something kind of loud. I was like, I better go up there. They tried to move a full-size mattress out of the girl's little brother's bedroom and into the hall and down the hall, and actually moved the thing like several feet off of, like, out of the room and everything. And these are kindergarten girls, where my daughter's average, a little above average size for a kindergartner. The other girl, her name's Jane, is very big in personality, but is very small in stature. and so she's like, I have no idea how they moved this thing. It's really impressive, like feats of strength. And so we're laughing about it. On the walk home, I asked my daughter, Maddie, I was like, Maddie, like, she told me about you all moving the mattress. How did you and Jane move that big mattress? And she looked me dead in the eye and she goes, teamwork. And I was like,
damn.
Okay. So I wait a few hours later, dinner comes. I'm like, okay, Maddie, like, seriously, like, what did you and Jane do to move this mattress? It's way too big for the two of you to be able to move. And she said, Dad, I told you, teamwork. And then Liz drops it again. So I wait till the next morning. I'm walking her to school and I ask him, like, Maddie, I'm going to ask one more time. Like, I'm just curious. You won't be in trouble. Tell me, how did you and Jane move a full-size mattress that far? And she looks me dead in the eye once again. She goes, Daddy, you can do a lot of great things with teamwork. So that is my parenting message. Don't ask your kids 3 times, because if they tell you teamwork on the first answer, just take teamwork and realize, maybe all of us can learn from these 2 5-year-olds that you can do unprecedented, what would seem like impossible things with teamwork.
You got a natural born leader, dude.
It was pretty great.
My advice. So my son is 3, and he's not a great eater by any means. So it struggled to get him to try new things and do new things.
Sure.
It's been no fun, I will admit that. But one thing that has seemingly been working is going through the aisles, and these companies and corporations, they're targeting and marketing to kids.
Yeah.
Well, use that to your advantage. If he sees like bluey fruit snacks or something,
yeah,
like he's got the like recognition of like, oh, Bluey eats apples and stuff, so
sure.
I can eat apples and stuff. So like, use marketing, use these ad companies to your advantage. Take the marketing, whatever it takes. But yeah, if marketing companies start marketing vegetables, man, like
you use it to your advantage. Yeah, I mean, if somebody was smart, they would license Mickey Mouse and put it on broccoli or something.
Exactly. That would, how much I would pay to get my kid to eat broccoli?
Right. No, that's a good point. Use their preferences and what they think is a win to your advantage as well. So I like that.
Yeah. So for that, we will get out of here. We'll be back on Monday. So we have kind of a scheduling conflict on Sundays here. So we'll record and go live on Monday after for a little bit. We'll get back onto the regularly scheduled program as soon as the Cavs start having some day games on Sundays.
Yeah. And the other thing we want to we're trying to get a guest on for Monday, and it's much easier to get a guest when a Cavs game isn't currently going on. So we'll try to get somebody on to join us for a bit on Monday.
Correct. So for everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. Please tune in to our playback channel. We're partnering with them all season long. We have some giveaways that we'll be teasing out throughout the season. Follow us on all of our socials: Blue Sky, X, Instagram, Facebook. We're on everything. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to really grow the platform over there. And subscribe to the audio version of this podcast. It's free for any platform that's out there. I know we had a little bit of snafu the past week, but those look to be resolved. So please subscribe to the audio version of this podcast for free. Be a friend, tell a friend. We love reviews. We love interacting with everybody. So yeah, for that, I'm Skylar Webker. He's Kevin Lynch. And as always,
Go Cavs.